Marlins. We are Black Hawk. We are Florida.
On a Sunday afternoon here in Philadelphia. Glad you're with us for Marlins baseball. Last of a three-game series and last of this three-city road trip that has gone from Pittsburgh to New York and now to Philadelphia, as Jose Urena is going to try to pitch the Miami Marlins to a win in this series and salvage the final game of this three-game set. So that's like what we call a timing sheet, so everybody knows when the anthem is and lineups and everything else. Well, the Philly fanatic just doesn't care about any of it. He doesn't care. Why would he? He's a rabble-rouser, that one there, as are we. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth with you here inside the broadcast booth. We're smiling now. It's been tough, though. It's been a rough road trip for the Marlins.
Well, we tried to laugh our way through this.
Yes, we have.
I mean, it has been a long road trip, no doubt about it. But right man on the mound today,
Yes.
I think, in Jose Urena. Listen, he's been throwing the ball as well as anybody, I'll say it, in baseball right now in the National League, and he could not be in a better position here to hopefully pick up a win. 3 wins in his last 4 starts. He's pitching with purpose. He's pitching with conviction. So, again, tall task today. This Philadelphia Phillies team is playing for a playoff spot, but the Marlins have their man on the mound.
Yeah, and if you want to go back and pick out a moment in time, maybe it was that incident in Atlanta. Of course, things did not go well nationally, but since then, 4 games, 3-0, 222.
Well, the 222 stands out. I mean, you can kind of hint at this. It's guys like me who need to talk about it more, because I know those numbers are good, but what I continue to see is more strikes, more purpose, more conviction on the mound. We've talked all season long. Every now and again, he has those moments. Over his last 4 starts, that 1 or 2 inning, that 20-pitch stretch, that hasn't happened. I mean, he has just been on such a mission right now, and there's no doubt about it. He is convinced he's going to get himself under a 4 ERA, finish strong, and kind of take this to the next level. It has been so much fun to watch him over his last 4.
Yeah, and he's got to figure out a way to harness it again against this tough Phillies lineup, which over the last couple of games seems to be clicking. They've come up with the big hit, and in fact, the last time Urena pitched in this ballpark, they had 3 big hits in terms of 3 home runs.
Well, and that's exactly right. And you're going to see a theme here. They're left-handed, and 2 of those guys are in the lineup today. Williams is not in there, but Cabrera is definitely in there, and so is Hernandez in their top spot in the lineup, so you're going to keep your eye on that. The problem that Urena is going to have is that this team is playing with purpose. So I kind of pose it as a challenge for Urena today. As good as he's been, he's gone up against some great offenses. This is going to be a big, big road start. When he goes back and looks at 2018, he's going to say, as well as I was throwing the ball, I stepped in here. It's a must-win for the Philadelphia Phillies. I'll go out there and say it, and he maybe went out and pitched one of his best games.
Yeah, there haven't been many happy bus rides or happy flights along the way, but the Marlins are certainly hoping for a couple of those today as they'll get out of Philadelphia, head back to Miami. They hope with a win with Urena on the mound to start it out. We step aside. When we come back, the last of this road trip is on the way. First pitch from Citizens Bank Park is next. transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason, who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today, and by your South Florida Toyota dealers. Beautiful day here in Philadelphia, and it's been nice. Of course, the weather around the East Coast has been ugly, but here in Philadelphia today, 84 degrees. Glorious is the forecast, and whatever a UV index is, we're 7 out of 10. So that's 70% of something, and I like it. It sounds good. It feels good. It actually feels warm now. None of that kind of raw rain garbage that we've been dealing with. Probably because, as Todd has told me many a times, it is always sunny in Philadelphia.
There you go.
Nick Pivetta will start the ball game.
That's it. Always sunny. Well, Nick Pivetta making his career-high 30th start of the season. How about the 173 strikeouts? It definitely stands out. That's 11th in the National League, second on this Philadelphia Phillies team. Now, 2 earned runs or fewer last 3 outings, but he's only gone 5 innings or less. That's kind of the theme. We've seen that this series. Gabe Kapler has kind of kept that short leash. Saw it last night with Velasquez. If it's not going good, I'm going to the bullpen. It also qualifies for Pivetta. Let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report. Traffic jam, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. Again, much like Velasquez last night, his numbers just look like maybe fatigue is starting to factor into this. Nothing extreme, but more base runners over his last 5 starts. In fact, 39 of them. The whip up to 167. On the season, it's a 1.3. His ERA, 6.08. That leads us to RISP, runners in scoring position. 342 batting average against with runners in scoring position. Yes, that is highest in Major League Baseball. He's also given up 7 home runs, 6th most in the combo pack. Really just talking about how he's going to try to get Marlins hitters out. Use the fastball to set up the slider and curveball. Those are his main strikeout pitches. 89 of them this season. 223 batting average against both pitches.
Just about set for baseball on a Sunday afternoon. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock. Glad you're with us. Nick Pivetta is set, and we're underway. That's ball 1 outside to JT Riddle, who is arguably the hottest hitter in the Marlins lineup, which is presented to you by Southwest. Riddle, Rojas, Castro. Of course, Real Muto, Anderson. A couple of guys getting days off today on a Sunday as Riddle sends one foul left side, 1-1. Riddle has had a nice road trip, 6 for 17. That's 353. A couple of doubles, which he had last night, a home run, 4 RBIs. Perhaps one of the reasons why you get that hot bat up at the top of the lineup. Try to get something going.
Yeah, he's swinging the bat as well as anybody in the Marlins lineup right now. Saw it yesterday, and if you think you're going to get a fastball by him, think again. He's been all over it. Well, maybe Pivetta will get a fastball by him early in this ball game. Right on time, right? Well, that was a 2-strike pitch, 95 miles an hour, up a little bit more. He ripped it off the right center field wall with the bases loaded.
This one in the air, left center field. Moving over from left is Rhys Hoskins to make the play, and there is 1 out.
Let's get you the Philadelphia Phillies defensively. Some new names in the lineup here on this sunny Sunday afternoon. Hoskins gets the start in left. Quinn in center. He's the speedster. Herrera gets the start in right. First appearance in the series. Cabrera, Crawford, Hernandez, and Santana. He moves from third to first. And Alfaro, first game behind the plate, along with Pivetta on the mound.
One out for Miguel Rojas, who takes a called strike. On this trip for Miggy is 2 for 20, but one of those hits a home run. So 10 homers, 50 RBIs, or he should say 11 home runs, 50 RBIs, but the first Marlins shortstop to have at least 10 and 50 since Jose Reyes in 2012.
A good look at the breaking ball from Pivetta. Going to be 2 big pitches for him today. Throws the changeup occasionally. Doesn't use it too much, but really does rely on the curve and the slider. Four-seam fastball and the sinker.
one gets away from Alfaro. They'll throw to first to complete the strikeout, and there are 2 away in the first. Pivetta comes in averaging 10.4 strikeouts per 9. That is a pretty high number. In fact, on pace to have the second highest rate by a Phillies qualifying pitcher. Curt Schilling was up at 11.3 back in 1999. Starlin Castro takes strike 1. Castro, a couple of doubles on this trip, but just 4 for 26. And unfortunately has been, outside of a guy here or there. We just mentioned Riddle. Generally speaking, it's been a rough offensive trip for the Marlins.
It sure has. A whole lot of consistency. Pick out a couple of different pockets where we saw some good offensive output, but nothing too consistent.
Castro chases. Alfaro applies the tag. A couple of strikeouts in the first for Pivetta. We'll watch Urena work next. And now the Phillies come to the plate against Jose Urena. Cesar Hernandez will lead things off for the Phillies today. The rest of their lineup is presented to you by Southwest. Again, a couple of switches with J.P. Crawford in there. Haven't seen Odubel Herrera in the starting lineup yet this series. And Jorge Alfaro behind the plate. It had been Wilson Ramos, their deadline acquisition the first couple of games of this series. But that's the starting 9 that Jose Urena will face, making his 29th start. Yes, a 4.29 ERA on the season, but much better the last month or so.
Well, we'll start with the strikeouts. 122. That's already a career high. He's making his career high 29th start today as well.
And Cesar Hernandez greets him on the first pitch with a home run. 1-0 Philadelphia.
Paul, that has a similar feel to opening day 2018, Marlins Park. You remember that day?
I do. That was my...
one pitch, one left-handed batter, one home run.
First pitch that I called as the voice of the Marlins.
Well, Hernandez found that power stroke last night, and he brought it back here to Citizens Bank Ballpark this afternoon. One fastball, one swing, one run.
6th career leadoff home run for Cesar Hernandez, his 13th overall this season, and now that brings up Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins hasn't had much success, or any for that matter, against Urania in his career. 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts. In the series, a double, a home run, 2 RBIs. And beyond that, pretty good numbers overall this season with 31 homers and 91 driven in. Big swing and a miss on 3-0. Absolutely came unglued. So 3-1, Urania to Hoskins. And now Hoskins with a fly ball out to center field for Lewis Brinson. Shades his eyes from the sun, makes the play. And there is 1 out.
Let's get you the Marlins defensively behind Urania for this afternoon's ball game. Hoskins, excuse me, flip my sheet over, got a little excited. Want to do the Phillies again. Dean, Brinson, O'Brien. How about O'Brien making his first start in the outfield in 2018? In fact, he hasn't been in the outfield since 2016. He's in right. Rojas, Riddle, Castro, Dietrich, Holiday behind the plate.
You don't like the crisscrossing of it?
Yeah, no. My team on one side and the other team on the other side.
All right. To each his own.
That's right.
I'll stay in my lane over here.
Right.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera. Pops this one up. In is Brinson, and he'll make the catch. 2 away. Carlos Santana steps in. He has reached base safely in a season high 20 straight games, 3 for 6, 4 runs scored in the series. 23 homers and 82 RBIs in this his first season in Philadelphia. Inside, a ball and no strikes. Well, this is, of course, the last meeting this season between these two clubs. Phillies go their way, Marlins go theirs. A strike. Phillies have won 11 of the 18 games to this point, and they've outscored the Marlins now 100-53. There have been a couple of close games mixed in there, but I think what's really fudging the numbers a little bit is the 20-1 that we had the first trip here. There was a 14-2 earlier in this series. Gabe Kapler's team looking for wins as they have an outside chance at catching the Atlanta Braves. Now you might say, well, 6.5 with 2 weeks to go. That's a tough hill to climb. But 7 of the last 11 games for the Phillies against Atlanta. So they, in a sense, in a stretch of a sense, control their own destiny.
I think it's interesting. Marlins going to head home after today's ballgame. They're going to play the Washington Nationals. They've been kind of the quiet team that have been lurking right behind the Philadelphia Phillies, and right with them at times. They are not mathematically eliminated. They get on a run, they could do some things too. I know the sense is with the Nats that, oh, you know, they've moved in a new direction. I'm sure that's the case.
Shallow left, Riddle is out there to make the play, and the inning is over. 3 fly ball outs after the leadoff home run from Hernandez. Go to the top of the second inning here at Citizens Bank Park. Derek Dietrich will lead things off, then Peter O'Brien and Lewis Brinson for the Marlins against Nick Pivetta. A ball outside to Dietrich. Pivetta a couple of strikeouts in the first inning. Also outside, tried that outside corner again. 2 balls and no strikes.
Against Pivetta on the season, lefties hitting .281, righties .246. The homers split 11 apiece. As I mentioned at the beginning of the ball game, Pivetta kind of suffering in some ways from, I don't want to necessarily say fatigue. I mean, it's not a loss of velocity. It's just the general maybe edge, I guess, is where you kind of go with this. Talking about, pitch efficiency and, some mistakes that are made. Like, his numbers aren't off the charts bad, like he's struggling really, really poorly. It's just that it's been more shorter starts and more hits and more walks. So just more traffic. And again, it's kind of put Gabe Kapler in a position to take him out of ball games early.
But no traffic thus far with all the strikeouts.
Thank you, fans. We're celebrating you all weekend long, starting on Thursday through Sunday as the Marlins take on the Reds. Be a special surprise for fans each game during the series, from Throwback Thursday to swag bags and more. For more information to get your tickets, visit marlins.com/fan appreciation.
Peter O'Brien fouls the first pitch off out in right field today. A double and a walk in the series. Got an early pinch hit appearance last night in what was really a wild game. We knew going in that the Marlins were going to go with a bullpen game. Just the circumstances of the week, Straley's injury and the doubleheader and all kinds of different things kind of messed up the rotation a little bit. So they knew that they were going to go kind of short, starting Harlan Garcia and mix and match the rest of the way. But as it turned out, Marlins scored 4 runs in the second inning last night, and then the Phillies in the bottom of the inning got themselves, as Pivetta gets his 4th strikeout of the day, they got themselves into a spot where the pitcher's coming up in an instance where they could maybe change the game around, and it turned into a bullpen game on both sides. In fact, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, none of the 15 combined pitchers used in last night's game, 7 for Miami, 8 for Philadelphia, recorded a plate appearance. Now, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, the first non-designated hitter game in the modern era, that goes back to 1900, in which no player on either team both batted and pitched. And we were here to see it, Holly. Wow. If you want, I'll sign your scorecard.
Well, I'm happy to report that there is no bullpen activity currently for either team. Nope. Quiet out there.
Wait, somebody's moving. I think that's Hernandez moving. Have a seat.
Tell you what, those are some pretty flowers.
Yeah,
it's late in the season.
Very nice. So 4 strikeouts for Pivetta, and I've got all 4 on that knuckle curveball. And now 1 and 2 to Brinson.
Yeah, came in on the season with 59 of them. Did strike out a few more batters with the 4-seam fastball, but when you got it working, you stick with it, and that's what we've seen from Pivetta so far. A few more breaking balls.
Fight that one off, stays 2 and 2. Coming up in the 7th inning, we'll check back in with the studio. It's the Ram game break. Cut on and missed as Pivetta strikes out the side here in Philly. 1-0. Back with you here on a Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. Thanks for being with us as Jose Urena will face Odubel Herrera, J.P. Crawford, and Jorge Alfaro here in the second. Phillies a 1-0 lead on the leadoff home run by Cesar Hernandez. Odubel Herrera takes low and away. It's been a rough September for Herrera, just 4 for 33. In fact, going all the way back to the All-Star break, hitting just .213 since the Midsummer Classic. Overall, though, 21 home runs, 65 RBIs. Able to avoid that one, 2-1. And between his second half struggles and the way that other players have emerged, namely Roman Quinn, Herrera is not getting as much playing time, and in fact today out in right field. The guy who has patrolled center here at Citizens Bank Park the last number of years.
Well, I think what we've learned about the Philadelphia Phillies here in this 3-game series is hot hands will play. You're swinging a hot bat right now, you're going to be in the lineup. You're going to get an opportunity. I think Alter's been a great example of that. Of course, not in the lineup today, but you know, he got hot in game 1, certainly impacted that ball game. Started yesterday. It's that time of year. Do what you got to do to get a win.
Again, up and in, 3-2. Phillies have won the first 2 games of this series. The Marlins trying to get one before they head back home to play the Washington Nationals for 2. Trevor Richards and Eric Fetty, the 2 starting pitchers tomorrow night. This one popped up left side. Miguel Rojas in foul ground makes the catch. 1 away.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida, Marlins baseball, wherever you go.
J.P. Crawford steps in. There's ball 1. Home plate umpire today, DJ Rayburn. Chris Siegel over at first, Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief, at second, and Jim Wolf is the umpire over at third. Crawford's a guy that the Phillies have certainly talked an awful lot about. Had been one of their top position player prospects the last few years. This year, a couple of stints on the DL, though. Right elbow strain kept him out for a little over a month. Broken left hand, about a month and a half. On the year, just hitting .218 with a .325 on base percentage.
Well, Crawford has had some bad timing this year. We saw him early on, he was struggling with the bat. He started to heat up just a bit. That's when the injury came along. Right when he started to swing it well, so that cut into the success or the ability to catch up as far as those numbers are concerned.
Payoff pitch to Crawford. It's fouled back.
Well, for Jose Urena, 11 quality starts this season. Season high is 12. Established that last season, so definitely has a shot at having a few more quality starts this year.
To first for Dietrich, who will take it himself and beat Crawford to the bag. 2 outs here in the second.
Well, after the first pitch of the ball game, Urania's done a pretty nice job of at least calming the emotion down that was in the building. One pitch in. And the reason I bring that up, he's not been getting a whole lot of run support. Obviously gave up a home run on that first pitch. Got the second lowest run support average of any National League starter at 3.38 runs a game. He does have the only win on this road trip. Beat Jacob deGrom.
How about the matchup in Boston today? DeGrom and Sale going
it's
head
an
to head.
interesting one. I'm probably more curious on the Sale aspect of it.
It won't last long. It won't.
Well,
be
right. I mean, I
duel,
guess that's it. We kind of, he's coming back from the disabled list, and I think it's his second start back, and he's only went one inning the first time.
Right.
Although I will say that DeGrom going up against the mighty Boston Red Sox lineup is, I think, quite interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. Already a Mookie Betts sac fly and a Brock Holt 2-run home run. So the Red Sox have a 3-0 lead, bottom 4 at Fenway Park. Here comes a 3-0 pitch. 98 miles an hour from Urania, 3-1. And the first walk of the afternoon for Urania. But the pitcher spot due up next, so certainly a reason to be careful with Alfaro, who's had some very good numbers against the Marlins this year. A .432 hitter against Miami in 11 games. So he'll go after Pivetta with 1 on and 2 out.
Well, it certainly makes some sense. Pivetta, 4 for 36 on the season. Does have a double. 19 strikeouts. Strikes out 50% of the time.
Seemingly on and off the mound.
That's a good point.
There's a strike, 1 and 2.
Although he's ahead of the curve so far on the pitching side.
The knuckle curve. We could do this rat-a-tat-tat all day, you know.
Well, Alfaro, no threat to run.
There's a called strike 3. First strike out of the afternoon for Urania. Works around the 2-out walk. 1-0 Phillies.
Hey, we always prepare for games, but every once in a while we stumble upon a very cool story at the ballpark as well. And I've got one for you right here. This beautiful lady sitting right here is Irma, and she is celebrating her 100th birthday today. She got a visit from the Phillies. She's got her birthday cape on. She got a Fanatics bobblehead, a little prize pack, a Phillies shirt. She has been a Phillies fan her entire life. Now, if you think that is impressive, follow me because we're going to make our way down to this handsome gentleman right here. This is Bill, and he is celebrating birthday 101. So between Bill and Irma, over 200 years of Phillies fandom. Guys, I am in the presence of greatness right now.
Wow, that is fantastic. And to be able to get out to the ballpark, and if you said 100, I would not have believed that at all. They both look tremendous for their age. Happy birthday to both. Here's Austin Dean to lead it off. I love the cape.
Let me get you a cape for your birthday.
It's coming up.
Yeah. So I'm going to get you a cape. You like that cape?
I do. Oh, did you say cape or cake?
Both.
You're going to get me a cape cake?
No, I'm going to get you cake and a cape.
All right. Now we're cooking. Outside 2-2. This guy, he's not getting me a cake or a cape. No chance. No chance. And a called strike three. That is 6 strikeouts in a row for Nick Pivetta. It's a career best 6 consecutive strikeouts.
Yeah, the breaking ball really working this afternoon. He's leaning on it. He's trying to get to it as quickly as possible in each at bat.
Outside to Brian Holiday. Yeah, all 6 are on the curve. And it's still a long way off from Tom Seaver's record of 10 straight strikeouts. But he has gotten himself into some kind of groove. The only ball in play, JT Riddle's fly ball to left to lead off the ball game. Here comes the 3-0 pitch in there for a called strike. Good take by Holiday. That puts an end to the strikeout run for Pivetta. And it's the first Marlins base runner of the day.
Borderline pitch. Pivetta went back to the fastball, able to lay off. Join the Marlins on Thursday for social media night when they take on the Reds. Purchase a ticket package and receive a social media night t-shirt. Opportunity to have your social media content run pregame on Marlins Vision. For tickets, visit marlins.com/social media.
Urania tips it foul on the bunt attempt, and it's 0-1. Squares again, pops it up and kicks foul. Enough English on that one to take that right-hand turn into foul territory. So now it's 0-2. Phillies still expecting a bunt with Asdrubal Cabrera in on the grass at third. And Urania bunts it foul. And that's the 7th strikeout for Pivetta.
Well, first time through the lineup, 7 Ks, 1 walk. Now up to 180 strikeouts on the season.
Back to the top of the order for JT Riddle. Fly out to left back in the first. And a strike. That's 39 pitches, 27 strikes for Pivetta. Well, he has done this against the Marlins. Pitched well. I know it's 2 outs in the top of the third, but a 2.30 ERA and 20 strikeouts, 2 walks in the 3 starts prior to today. Marlins hitters are just a 193 average against coming into this one. As Riddle back to the mound, that will end the inning here in the top of the third. Pivetta's got 7 Ks through 3.
And for Holiday, there's one thing in particular he looks from for Jose to know he's in a good spot on the mound.
Yeah, I think for him, you know, it all comes down to fastball command, and when he's got that early on, then it makes him tough to hit. He's able to get ahead of hitters, and he's able to use his other pitches. You know, especially when he's got the command and it's sinking, you know, it's really tough to get him.
Don Mattingly adding that command is not the only important thing, location also, where he's locating those pitches, guys.
Jessica, thanks. Yeah, the other thing that Don Mattingly mentioned today was maybe a slightly different grip on the breaking ball over the last, well, he didn't give a time frame, but I would imagine it's in the last maybe month or so, just because he has been kind of at that different level. But he said that different grip on the breaking ball has led to a little bit more depth on it as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he's pitching with about as much confidence as we've seen this season.
Quinn will reach. Backhand attempt by Dietrich. See how they score it, hit or error, but either way, Quinn is aboard to lead things off here in the third. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. National League ERA leaders in September, and the Marlins have two of them, Sandy Alcantara and Jose Urania, both starting the day at 135. Saw Ivan Nova last week. That's Pittsburgh is where this trip started, and Nova has been terrific this month. A ball outside to Cesar Hernandez, who made that 135 ERA go up a tick with a leadoff home run back in the first inning. His 13th of the year.
Well, the ground ball by Quinn is going to be ruled an error. He's on first. Nonetheless, certainly a threat to steal. So the best speed that the Phillies have to offer.
Low and in to Hernandez, 2 balls and no strikes. Well, the ball strike percentage kind of right down the middle for Urania, unlike what it is for Pavetta today. 42 pitches and 22 strikes for Urania. Has the 1 strikeout and the 1 walk.
Well, we've told you an awful lot about Urania's success throughout his last 4 starts. I'll give you some numbers to back that up. We were talking about the new grip on the slider, the 4-seam fastball. Of course, his changeup's been good as well. Hitter's just hitting 185 against his fastball over the last 4, and the slider, to your point, 087. Half of his strikeouts on that pitch.
Ground ball to second. Castro the flip to Riddle and on to first for a double play. Sharply hit, and that's one of the few ways you're going to double up a guy like Quinn and Hernandez. Great speed between those two, but 2 outs on the ground ball.
Yeah, this is where exit velocity is kind of a good thing. You like it as long as it's at a middle infielder. Let's turn this double play rather simply. Erase the E. Kind of get things back in line.
So 2 outs for Rhys Hoskins, who lines a base hit into left field. 2-out knock for Hoskins. That's his first hit against Urania. Now 1 for 9 in his career. Time for AARP. Take on today. And there is the first hit. Now 1 for 10. 4 walks and 6 strikeouts against Urania.
Well, Hoskins generally an aggressive, a patient hitter. What I was going to get at was that it seems today that he wants to be a little bit more aggressive. Thinking back to that 3-0 first pitch that he swung at, I mean, he came out of his shoes, swung at the next pitch, which was a fastball, a little outside the zone. In fact, he's taken 3 straight swings against Urania.
And it extends the inning for Asdrubal Cabrera. He's had a good year this year against Miami. Homers in 4 of his last 5 games, and 7 of his 23 have come against the Marlins. That, of course, in a Phillies and Mets uniform this year. Out to left center field, but Brinson is there for the final out. 3 innings in the books here at Citizens Bank Park, with the Phillies up 1-0. telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Oh, little Ritas.
Some water ice. Go for some of that. Italian ice. Like it.
They make a good custard, too.
Sugary water.
Yeah.
Icy.
Yeah.
Hot day today.
Yeah.
About 83 degrees.
I know. They have good ice cream here, too. Have you indulged yet?
Nope. Just ate a banana.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're a big potassium guy.
Keep my energy level up.
Yeah, you better. Miguel Rojas, Starlin Castro, and Derek Dietrich here in the fourth. Rojas a strikeout victim back in the first. Down 1 and 2 here.
Now, first time through the lineup. Well documented how good Pivetta was. You see the pitch count at 44. We've got 18 knuckle curves. He's using over 40% on the season. Kind of hangs out in that 21% range. That tells you how good it's been.
Whoa. A little dust storm over there on the left side. Look at this.
Tornado.
That's it, right there. Irma's cape. Just laying, sitting down there. A little low, 3 and 2. Seven strikeouts and a walk. 2 balls put in play off of Pivetta today, and they're both JT Riddle. Fly ball and a ground out. Marlins looking for their first hit here in the fourth. Payoff pitch from Pivetta. They have found their first hit. Miguel Rojas goes the other way.
There you go. Quality at bat. Good adjustment by Rojas. Laid off the sliders. First time up. I tell you, about as guilty as anybody. Chased a couple of breaking balls off the outside edge. Laid off him this time. Earned himself a fastball down the middle. Drives it into right. Marlins' first base hit. You get a few guys on. Mentioned it during the AutoNation scouting report. Pivetta has struggled with runners in scoring position more than anybody in Major League Baseball this season. Key is getting him there.
Castro right back to the box. Pivetta throws to somebody at second base, and then that relay throw to first goes awry, and up to second goes Castro. I think it got into Crawford's glove at the bag. Either way, the throw back to Santana was high, and Castro is at second.
Well, let's take another look. One hopper back at Pivetta. Good strong step and throw to second base, but both guys at the bag. That's Crawford. Crawford, this is his first start in the series. Just yanks the throw. Maybe throwing around Rojas just a bit. Really no play for Santana. So the Marlins will get their runner in scoring position in the form of Starlin Castro.
And Dietrich at the plate. The Phillies have 3 men on the right side of the infield. Crawford kind of up the middle, though, behind the second base bag. And Asdrubal Cabrera the only guy, and he's about 30 feet off of third. Dietrich takes outside, ball 1. Dietrich hitting with the sunglasses on during the day. Were you a sunglasses at the plate kind of guy?
No. I very rarely wore wristbands, honestly. Just
Really?
batting gloves, and that was it.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. Now you see why they swing the infield around. Eye black? Did you do eye black at all?
No, I tried it once. Got it all over my face.
Good work. The flip downs?
Yeah.
You were an outfielder, though.
No,
You had to have something.
No, I would wear my Oakleys in the outfield, but I just wouldn't hit in them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take them off, put them on my hat.
Did you try to, and you just didn't like it, or is you just
No.
felt too comfortable to not even give it
I
a
just
whirl?
didn't like the change visually from the daylight to the dark. It didn't really work for me. You know, I'm also the person that if I would have gotten a hit the first time I tried it, I probably would have wore them.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
I mean, believe me, I certainly tried it all. And we used to put the, you see the guys today, they don't even really put the eye black on. Those
Right,
are
it's a
stickers.
sticker.
Yeah.
That's right. Dietrich down on strikes. That's 8 for Pavetta. And they're
Back
2
when
away
I
here in the
played,
fourth.
you actually took the black,
The cork. You burned the cork.
Is that what it is? I know. Well, no.
Oh,
it was
the
the actual stick, that you put on your eyes. And so, as soon as you go like, I'm really, really sweaty, and you wipe your face, and it's all over your hand and then your face, and it's running down. And
Right. Because I think where it started, because we tried this in high school, we were bored, believe it or not, that somebody dug it up that it actually came from a burnt cork.
Interesting.
And we used burnt cork.
Started playing with fire, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Bad idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, some guys use that stick, and
You
it
don't
looks
see too
like
much of that
Peter
anymore.
O'Brien's using the stickers.
Right. I think most guys use that now. That way you can kind of keep the glare, because that's the idea, is it keeps the glare out of your eye socket, which is very, very beneficial. We didn't have those when we started. We just had the eye black.
Like electrical tape. That's even a little shiny.
More
That's
like
got a little
black
shiny.
lipstick is what it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of.
Right. Two balls and a strike to Peter O'Brien. One of the 8 strikeout victims for Pavetta thus far. Shaking Alfaro like crazy. Castro away from second, and the 2-1 pitch is driven out to left field, and there it is, gone. A home run for Peter O'Brien. And for all the strikeouts that Pavetta has thrown,
Oh my gosh!
it's a 2-1 lead.
My apologies, Paul.
I think I saw what you saw.
I'm watching the exchange between Alfaro and Pavetta right now. 2 balls just got thrown out to the mound. Pavetta refused to catch it. One sailed into center field. Another one's getting picked up. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I mentioned it on the previous pitch that he had shook him off a couple of times before giving up this home run.
Yeah. This fastball gets turned around. We told you the numbers with a runner in scoring position. 342, 7 home runs allowed. Make that 8. This rocket is going to give the Marlins the lead. Great swing from O'Brien. I'll tell you what, when he makes contact, boy, oh boy, the slugging percentage goes up. Second home run for the Marlins. Now we got a team meeting on the mound. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Paul. I mean, there's definitely something there. I think that something was kind of going on. Again, I apologize. I just got caught on it. I was watching it as it was going down, and between Pavetta and Alfaro as the ball came back out. There goes one ball. You just saw it fly over his head. There goes the other one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the level of intent, but I felt like,
I mean, he had 8 strikeouts for the first 14 men.
Well,
faced.
with where that was going, I don't know if there was a communication breakdown, if something was about ready to happen. It's just very odd to see with the eyes.
Right.
Sure, Pavetta upset about giving up the home run.
Well, again, for as good as he has been through the first 3 2/3, the Marlins have the lead as Brinson fouls it back. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, so far capitalizing on their only runner in scoring position. And that was a gift as well, thanks to the Phillies. Double play that didn't get turned.
It's another error in this inning for the Phillies, and that gives them 111 on the season. That is second in Major League Baseball at the start of play. Outside to Brinson. Count is full. Grounded to Cabrera. Off balance throw, close play, but they get Brinson by a half a step. O'Brien's 2-run homer has the Marlins up 2-1. Fact that Pivetta was shaking off Alfaro quite a bit. This entire exchange is leading up to the pitch that O'Brien hit for the home run. It's all about a minute's worth.
Oh yeah, we can't even, I don't believe we're going to show you the whole thing. It takes too long. I mean, this goes on 3 different times. O'Brien's going to step out of the box. Pivetta's going to get back in, shake him off after an exchange of signs. Going to happen again. Maybe we are going to show you the whole thing. It takes a little while. Yeah, step back out one more time. Go through it again, and this is all leading up to the 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, lower left is live action as Santana takes low.
Right.
But now he stepped off twice, finally has the pitch that he wants, and then it gets lined out for a home run.
Right.
And then,
watch out.
The ball's either from the catcher or from the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn, went boop, right over the head.
Right. And when I originally saw that, I thought that was Alfaro. And what I was kind of getting at, I thought there was an exchange going on, kind of playing into the miscommunication that was going on between Alfaro and Pivetta.
Right.
So I thought one thing led to another. The home run gets up on the next pitch, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to be a pitcher and a catcher having a little thing on the mound. Now, thankfully, that was not the case. Of course, they had a little team meeting. Pitching coach came out, and everything is calmed back down again, but kind of an odd moment in this game.
Swing and a miss from Santana. 3 balls and 2 strikes. It's Santana, Herrera, and Crawford due up here in the 4th. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live, the pregame show. Believe it or not, Holly, we are going to be in South Florida. How about that?
Cannot
After a
wait.
10-day road trip. Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and the guys have you covered tomorrow night as Castro makes the play for the first out in the 4th.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat
be Trevor Richards and Eric Fetty tomorrow. Just a 2-game series with the Nationals before the off day on Wednesday. Sandy Alcantara and Steven Strasburg, the starting pitching matchup on Tuesday night. That kicks off the last homestand of the year. In fact, the Washington Nationals, as Odubel Herrera swings at the first pitch, are taking on the Atlanta Braves right now. That game currently 5-0 Washington in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Bryce Harper his 34th home run. Anthony Rendon his 20th home run.
Yeah, that offense is really rolling. Well, the Washington Nationals never have really said that they're out of it, but they certainly traded away a few pieces of their team. And the point being that they're playing pretty good baseball right now.
Something's going on here. The third base umpire, Jim Wolf, was pointing toward the Phillies dugout for a second. Everybody's kind of looking around wondering what was going on. I don't know if someone totally guessing here, but chirping on the strike zone, I'm not quite sure. But Urania wanted to throw a pitch. He's got his arms up, wondering how come I can't go. J.P. Crawford in the on-deck circle's kind of looking all over the place. Nevertheless, an 0-2 pitch outside. Yeah, you're right about the Nationals. They have been, they made some changes. Looked to some like, all right, well, maybe we're throwing in the towel. Murphy's gone and Adams gone and pieces of the bullpen gone. Dietrich gets the big hop for out number 2. But the Nationals just 2 games behind the Phillies right now in the division.
Well, Soto's been on a tear as well. Certainly opened some eyes in the Atlanta series. Picked up his 20th home run. I believe it was yesterday. Stole 3 bases. Became the youngest player, or I should say teenager, to steal 3 bases in a game.
Yeah, he's rewritten a lot of those youngest player to do this and that and whatever.
Well, next on the list is Harper, and he's still got a chance to catch him. I mean, he's clearly, there's only been 3 players, I believe 3 teenagers, to hit 20 home runs in a season. Harper obviously one of them with 22. Soto's at 20.
There's a strike to Crawford, 0-2.
If you're wondering, Soto does not stop being a teenager until late October.
Right. Yeah, he's got 20, Harper 22, and Tony Conigliaro 24 home runs in 1964. So he gets hot in the last 2 weeks. He could make a run at
Sure
that.
He could.
Sure.
He's definitely got a shot at his teammate. Interesting. Could be a changing of the guards.
You're right.
Harper moves on. Soto moves in.
Be an interesting offseason for the Washington Nationals, how they plan to go about attacking the Harper free agency. Sure, we'll talk more about that as we see the Nationals over the next couple of days, as Crawford gets the base hit into right field. And there were some reports, of course, Harper and Machado, the 2 big position player free agents. There were reports before we came to town here that maybe the Phillies could get both of them and stay under the luxury tax threshold. I'm not smart enough to figure out the math on that, but 2 guys who, you imagine the Phillies were to do that, or any team for that matter were to do that, sign 2 guys at, I don't know, $350 million each. You can make a case that both guys could get that. You can make a case against it too, I understand. A little north of my budget, that's all.
Just slightly.
Yeah, I'm more like the 348 range. Jorge Alfaro walked back in the 2nd inning. Bats with 1 on and 2 out here in the 4th. In on the hands, a ground ball to Riddle. Makes the play. Oh, a nice job by Urania. Gave up the leadoff homer today. Not much since. leadoff home run. So the Marlins with a 2-1 lead. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot, 120 games started by pitchers 26 or younger this year by the Phillies. And that leads Major League Baseball.
And it certainly it most definitely explains what we've seen over the last few games. Manager Gabe Kapler watching the pitches, watching the inning, watching the pitch count of his young arms throughout this series against the Marlins. It was Velasquez yesterday. I know he gave up the 4, but I mean, there was really no hint of him hanging around for anything more than an inning.
Dean Holiday Urania here in the 5th. There's a strike. 8 strikeouts thus far for Pivetta. One of them, Austin Dean, back in the 3rd. And a base hit. Dean just punches one through the right side.
Now, this is not the curveball. This is the slider. We haven't seen too many of those this afternoon. This slider, Dean does a nice job staying on it. And we've seen his success throughout this series to right center. Nice job poking it through the right side.
It's just not trying to do too much.
Well, you try to pull that pitch right there, you would have seen a different approach, and you would have probably seen the ball off the end of the bat and on the ground.
It's low to Holiday, who walked in his first trip. I don't see anyone throwing yet in the Phillies bullpen, but of course with Gabe Kapler, knowing that kind of every game has got that feel of a do-or-die type of game.
Well, it really should. That is the mindset that you must maintain in this position. Speaking from experience, that's exactly what our group in 03 did. Every game in September essentially is a playoff game until you get yourself to where you want to be. It's how you have to approach it as a player, and it's how you have to approach it as a manager. Remember this. Philadelphia Phillies had a day off the other day. They have no more off days. There's no hey, we've lost 3 in a row, but we got an off day coming up. I mean, this is all hands on deck and a full-on push to the very end of the season.
Well, with that in mind, guys that they'll lean on, you figure Pivetta and certainly Aaron Nola, who's worked his way into the conversation for his Cy Young Award. In there with Scherzer and certainly DeGrom, who we've talked about this week as probably being the front runner. That one low to Holiday. But between Pivetta and Nola, both within striking distance of 200 strikeouts this season. We're just talking about the youth in the starting rotation for the Phillies this year. Both pitchers will finish the season before they turn 26 years old. Runner goes, and Holiday, fair ball down the right field line. This will get toward the corner. Freddie Gonzalez waving Dean around. He's going to come in to score easily on the RBI double by Brian Holiday. 3-1 Miami.
Yeah, how about it? Getting it done. Both guys going the other way. Holiday does, well, very much the same thing that Dean did. He's going to pick on a fastball and drive it into the right field corner. Let's take another look at the approach. Fastball low and away, head down, driving it the other way. Stays fair into that corner. Herrera really nowhere near it. He was playing him over, more towards straight up, so a long way into that corner. That gets Dean all the way around, and a 2-run lead for the Marlins. Here in the 5th.
Corners in as Urania drops down the bunt. Pivetta makes the play to first, and up to third goes Holiday. Geico presents This Day in Marlins History. 1997, Bobby Bonilla first walk-off grand slam to lead the then Florida Marlins past their, well, they were still infants at the time, right? 97?
Yep.
The Colorado Rockies, 9-6. Both teams celebrating 25 years this year. Infield in for JT Riddle. Riddle a fly ball and a ground out today. He and Holiday, the only two Marlins who have not struck out. 8 thus far for Pivetta. Right back to him. Underhand flip. And Riddle is retired. That'll bring up Miguel Rojas at the first Marlins hit today.
Got things started. Real nice at bat. Went the other way. Maybe set the tone. We've seen 3 line drive base hits to right. Off Pivetta from right-handed hitters.
They'll check, no swing.
Kind of playing to the numbers as we talked about at the beginning of the ball game. Nothing really glaring other than, you feel like saying wear and tear for Pivetta, right? So first time through the lineup, Marlins 0 for 8, 7 punch outs. Second time through, 4 for 8, 3 runs, double and a homer.
Right back toward us. Ball and 2 strikes to Rojas. And Luis Avilan, the first arm up for the Phillies. And if you start that parade, Gabe Kapler is going to go through the pen. Looking for the right matchups.
He certainly has enough arms down there.
Yeah.
Still waiting to see if the Phillies will go half an at bat. I've seen that before. In fact, I've actually been part of a half an at bat.
Really?
Yes, I have. Oddly enough. Way back in my American League days. There aren't very many of them. I did it one time. I ended up pitch hitting for somebody because they got ahead in the count 2-0.
Oh, so
Every now and
so you were the hitter.
Well, no, I didn't start the at bat, but I finished it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Well, so it wasn't like a pitcher came in.
Right. It was in the American League.
Wow,
I believe it was with the Rangers when I did it. It was in Oakland. I remember it very well.
Was that the plan?
No, I don't.
Like,
I don't think so.
Skipper just say, "Hey, dude, grab a bat." You're like, "Huh?"
Kind of, sort of.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was ready. I mean, it was late in the ball game.
Okay.
But it wasn't like surprise, but it was, interestingly enough, in the middle of an at bat.
Wow.
You see it every now and again.
Sure. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Miguel Rojas. Takes outside, 3-2. 2-run homer for Peter O'Brien in the 4th, and an RBI double for Brian Holiday, who was over at third here in this inning, and a 3-1 Marlins lead. Lined and caught. Had him played perfectly, but the Marlins get 1 on the Holiday double. 3-1. transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic. Trust the #1 hospital in Miami, Fort Lauderdale with your care. And by Simply Healthcare, live the Simply life. Sunday afternoon here in Philadelphia, Brian Holiday an RBI double to extend it to a 2-run lead, as Justin Bohr will come off the Phillies bench and take a called strike, hitting in place of Nick Pivetta. After Bohr, it's Roman Quinn and Cesar Hernandez.
Now you see this series right below his numbers. That's 1 for 1. He did that as a pinch hitter a couple of nights ago. Bohr on the season, 6 for 16 pinch hitting. There you go. 10 RBIs. That's the number that really catches everybody's attention. Remember, he was really ripping the cover off the baseball. 3 pinch homers for the Marlins.
Well, this was the hit last night, right off the glove of Brian Anderson.
Well, and against the shift, thing we know about JB is he will go the other way. That pitch away, lined it the other way, drove in a couple of runs.
Waved at and missed, and that's the first out here in the 5th. Second strikeout of the afternoon for Urania, and in steps Roman Quinn, who reached on an error but was ultimately erased on a double play. Quinn thought about bunting, but will take ball 1. Now, since the middle of August, Roman Quinn has had his average well over 350 for these Phillies. He scored himself 11 runs, driven in 8, couple of home runs. We've seen 1 in the series, 5 stolen bases. Two and 1.
I think he's an important part of their future. He just represents so many things that are right. I mean, you look around this team, we talked about it just a couple of nights ago. The Philadelphia Phillies, they've had some issues with errors this season. This young man can go get the ball. He can play left, center, right. I mean, he's advertised as a speed guy, but he's got pop at his bat. Marlins have seen that in this series alone. This guy can drive a ball in the gap. Always going to take the extra base. Scores from first on a gapper. Can do a lot of things right. I expect him to get a lot of playing time next year.
Swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts for Urania here in the 5th. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Nice season for Zach Gallen, 2nd in the Pacific Coast League with that .365 ERA, 136 strikeouts. Cardinals' 3rd-round pick back in 2016. Good numbers, AAA, and this not a good sign, as pitching coach Juan Nieves and trainer Dustin Lupker out there to talk with Urania. It looks like he's saying he's on the mound.
You know how some guys you're not surprised at the end result.
Right.
This in no way surprises me.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't need any warm-up pitches. Why are you all here? Go away.
Get out of here. All right, let's see if what we saw, if anything.
Just maybe a little bit of an awkward fall, maybe that drive leg, the left leg, as he kind of was pivoting over, finishing. See how he lands, just a little awkward.
Right.
Maybe.
Well,
let's see if there's any slip in velocity. Nope.
Convinced them rather quickly. So whatever it was, not as bad of a sign as I may have thought, thankfully. A ball and 2 strikes now to Cesar Hernandez. who led off the ball game for the Phillies with a home run. Since then, Urania has been in control, stranding a base runner in each of the last 3 innings. Set down the first 2 batters here in the 5th. But to this point, kind of right on line with what Urania has done the last handful of starts. Got on and missed, and he strikes out the side in the 5th.
Changeup.
Nicely done, Jose Urania, protecting a 3-1 lead. We have been dancing on our heads, I will say that, for the last few months. But yeah, Marlins in front today. 3-1 the score as we move to the top of the 6th inning. New pitcher is Luis Garcia in for Nick Pivetta. And he'll face Castro, Dietrich, and O'Brien in the 6th. A called strike to Castro. Strikeout in the 1st. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run in the 4th inning.
Garcia's got a big arm. He's faced the Marlins a few times here in 2018. How about a 6.75 ERA in 5 games?
So the Red Sox a magic number of 4 in the American League East. They are, as Craig told you, up 3-2 right now. Yankees are up 2-1 against Toronto at home. Do you get the sense, though, that the Indians clinched yesterday? They kind of have what they considered their skeleton lineup, that kind of day after a clincher lineup today, and then they got the off day tomorrow, and then get back on track. But kind of the 2 ways to go about it. You want to get to the postseason, yes, but would you rather do kind of what the Rockies and Dodgers are doing, or would you rather be the Red Sox and Indians, line up your rotation, make sure the Sales of the world are healthy?
Both ways work. I don't think that there's one proven formula, but I mean, you're not going to get me to go against what I know we did in 03, which is kind of like play it out. Every game was a playoff game starting in, I don't know, for us, late June. The hole we dug was deep, and we had a long way to climb, but we were able to get out of it, and it took us to game number 160. I think it was one Saturday or Sunday last weekend. Point being, that works when it comes to, you know, if your team is deep, but I mean, listen, I can speak to the other, and the other works just as well. my guess, you'll see the Cleveland Indians give their guys, the Lindors, some days off over the next 7 days.
Right.
And then you're going to want to push hard, and you're going to want to get back in gear quick and get your guys in the routine, get them ready. Turn days into positive days. You cannot replicate the adrenaline. You can't, just make it up because you want it to be there. And that's what some of the problems you have with these games for the rest of the season are all about, really.
Dribbler to third, and that's going to be an infield single for Starlin Castro.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
It's his 25th infield single.
67th two-strike hit. Seems like a familiar combination this season.
It has been. Tyler Kinley is up in the Marlins bullpen. Couple of strikeouts today for Derek Dietrich. Blocked by Alfaro, and that will keep Castro over there at first. So again, the Red Sox counting down their magic number, which is currently at, as we mentioned, 4 in the East. Houston a 3.5 game lead on the Oakland A's, so they're still kind of a long ways off, a magic number of 11. And with 2 weeks left, that's, I don't want to say it's in doubt, but it's not necessarily the same certainty that Boston has. Now the National League is a whole other ball of wax. Whole other situation completely. Get a better look at that NL playoff picture in just a moment. 2-1, runner goes, and that one is going to get into center field for a base hit. Castro on his way to third, and the Marlins have runners on the corners with nobody out in the 6th inning.
Yeah, more motion again for the Marlins, willing to put some guys in motion from first base. You watch Dietrich, you watch Crawford, no shot. The way that they were playing that with Castro in motion and where he hit the baseball, no chance at making the play. Marlins get what they want, runners on the corners with nobody out here in the 6th and looking to add on.
And it'll be Peter O'Brien who hit a home run back in the 4th and turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead. His second homer in a Marlins uniform, and his 4th extra base hit on this road trip. 2 doubles, 2 homers. Takes ball 1.
Yeah, the power has been on display. 5 hits, you mentioned it, 4 extra base hits. He's starting to get in a little bit of rhythm here. You see the confidence growing. I'll tell you right now, he waited out the 94-mile-an-hour fastball for the home run. I mean, well, and I mean this seriously. As a hitter, you get in and out of the box. If you do, you realize that the communication's off between the catcher and the pitcher.
Right.
Same time, you're thinking, you're thinking it through. He did it again.
And now this one, right center field, hit well and in and out of the glove of Odubel Herrera, who can't find it. No catch.
Oh no.
And now Marlins have run themselves into a little bit of a pickle because O'Brien passed Dietrich. Now Castro scores. Kapler's going to come out for an explanation. It looked as though Herrera was shielding his eyes from the sun, and it went in and out of his glove.
It did. It looked like he was going to make the catch. Dietrich had made his way to second base, started to come back. O'Brien was hustling all the way, comes around first base. They pass each other. I was watching the second base umpire point at Dietrich. He was out as soon as O'Brien had passed him. Let's see how this is going. Still being talked about in a few different spots. All right, so just O'Brien is out.
I'll break it down from a couple of angles. At first, the catch attempt.
Well, you see what Herrera's doing. I mean, he ends up going into the wall head first. He's fielding for the wall with his bare hand and trying to make the catch with his glove hand. Doesn't quite do that. Ball hits the ground and gets it back in. We continue. So you watch Dietrich. Does exactly what you're supposed to do. Gets himself in position. We saw O'Brien piggyback him.
And now Brinson up the gap in left center field. That one's going to roll to the wall. Dietrich on his way around third. He's going to score. Brinson heading to third. In there safely. An RBI triple. 6-1 Miami.
Tell you what, Rockets are coming off the bat now. 4 consecutive Rockets. I'll check that 3, but 4 consecutive hits either way you look at it. Now this breaking ball splits the plate and stays up. Brinson all over it, lines it into the left center field gap, more towards center. Quinlan shaded over just a bit. Gets out towards the State Farm sign and kicks around in the corner in center. 111 miles an hour off the bat. Dietrich scores easily.
So now Dean takes low. That gets away from Alfaro, and Brinson's in there safely. Wow. What a strange half inning this has been on both sides. Fortunately, the Marlins have scored 3 runs in the inning.
I'll tell you what a turn of events this game has been on the whole.
Yeah, that too.
That absolutely gets away. Alfaro whiffs on the catch. Probably should have kept that in front. I think it's going down as a wild pitch. That allows Brinson to score.
All righty. So
Marlins made contact one time through the lineup. One time.
Yeah.
They're up 6-1 here in the 6th.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, let's just tie some things up. I may have misspoke on the score before. Now it is officially 6-1. Just so we're clear on that. The O'Brien play is a fielder's choice 9-6, and he gets an RBI. And for Brinson, it's an RBI triple, and he scores on a wild pitch. Tally all that up, and it's a 6-1 Marlins lead.
All right, so now we're down to 2 Rockets and an infield hit.
Popped up behind first. Santana makes the catch, and that's out number 2. All the while, Odubel Herrera tried to, I don't know if we can pull that back, but it looked like he tried to pick up the ball with the same hand that he had his hat in, which kind of threw me for a loop too. In the midst of all of that,
well,
shielding the sun and
there wasn't a whole lot of steadiness with the way that he was pursuing the baseball, which I think probably put us all on point, like this ball might be dropped. And of course, you can only imagine if we're seeing it that way, that on the field you're seeing it with that same anxiety. Herrera was pursuing the ball back. He had a good angle to the ball, but he was reaching for the wall, blocking the sun with his glove hand, which again, it's a good thing as we have another rocket into the gap.
And look at Holiday's going to have himself at least. That'll be a double, so it's his 2nd double of this game.
Tell you what, Holiday's having himself a holiday.
Celebrate.
Back-to-back doubles in the 5th and 6th inning. Some great at-bats. He continues the surge here in the second half. He's been hot for about a month now, putting together quality ABs when getting the opportunity to play. Good swing. Another runner in scoring position for the Marlins. Yeah, then Herrera crumbles into the wall. He hits the wall. The ball comes out. I'm not sure. Did you think he was getting up right away? I wasn't sure he was going to.
No.
I thought the ball might sit on the warning track for a little while. Then he bounces back up again. We've got runners crossing paths. We've got guys coming in from home to score. Our pets' heads are falling off.
So look, watch this again.
Well, see, look at his right hand too. See, like that unsteadiness was kind of throwing me around. Like he didn't have it convincingly.
Then he face plants, grabs his hat, can't find the ball.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
Yeah.
He had to drop the hat and pick up the ball.
Wow. And all that being said, it is 6-1, and Rafael Ortega is pinch hitting for Jose Urena.
Well, I got to tell you what, I do wonder, and I know Urena talked everybody off the mound last inning, as there was some hint that something may have happened to him. Hard for me to believe that this is just merely Ortega pinch hitting for Urena in this spot.
Up 5 when he's been in control.
We'll follow up with that if we hear something.
Now the 0-1 now to Ortega is grounded foul. So this is a look at the runners. So Dietrich's at second. He stops.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
No.
Well, Dietrich had gone back to first and O'Brien had gone to second. See that?
Yeah. So O'Brien is automatically out once he crosses the runner in front of him.
But to his credit, I'll tell you what, he is swinging the bat really well. One of the few Marlins with any level of consistency on this trip. Go all the way back to Pittsburgh. He has been hitting the ball and hitting it with authority.
A whiff by Alfaro, and it goes all the way back out to the mound. Oh, for goodness sakes, what is going on this inning?
Yeah, I'll take another look. It's a fastball. Clearly some miscommunication. I don't think it was a cross-up. Did he just not catch it?
I think he just whiffed on it. And a fortuitous bounce back to him and basically through him. So no advance by Holiday. And the 2-2 to Ortega misses low. I know this is like the first time we've seen the sun on this road trip, but is there a full moon?
There might be.
A weird inning.
Find out in Miami. I am done with this road trip. You know there's not going to be any more 10-day road trips next year. You know that, right?
I did see that schedule. There are none of those. We had 4 this year. The first 3 all included California in some form.
4 too many.
Payoff pitch. Swung on and missed, and that is strike 3. But the Marlins score 3 in the inning and extend it to a 6-1 lead.
atmosphere here in Philadelphia. Right behind me, there are about 8 to 10 bars that are connected. Over there, we have cornhole. We also have an awesome game of Connect 4 going on. And one more cool thing about this spot, if you take a look around, you're going to be able to see Lincoln Financial Field where the Eagles play. You can also spot the Wells Fargo Center where the 76ers and the Flyers play. You can also catch a glimpse of Citizens Bank Park. All three facilities are located within just steps of each other.
Yeah, Jessica, thanks so much. It's really cool. If you are from South Jersey or Philadelphia and a fan of all three, the Phillies, the Eagles, or four, I guess, the 76ers and Flyers, this is the place to go. This is the place to be. All your teams are within a stone's throw of one another.
What that creates, it creates a fan base, dynamic. I mean, you're not only a fan of maybe your particular sport, but you fall in love with your city's teams.
Yep.
Growing up here, it's always been this way. One thing that you learn as a Philadelphian is to hate the Cowboys. It's actually more important than liking the Eagles.
So I think
you know that? It's more important to hate the Cowboys than to love the Eagles.
Right, right. I think if you are a non-Cowboy fan, doesn't matter who, Dolphins,
right,
Vikings, doesn't matter. I think everybody hates the Cowboys. Now, this comes from a guy who is a Cowboys fan.
Right. I think it runs a little deeper here.
You're right. But they are just one of those polarizing football teams. Yeah. But yeah, here they don't know.
Polarizing, whatever. Other choice words.
Sure. We're on TV, so you can stop it at polarizing if you like. It's fine. Tyler Kinley is the new pitcher for the Marlins after 5 innings of work from Urania. Rhys Hoskins awaits a 2-1 pitch and takes upstairs. Again, not sure if there was anything wrong with Urania. Certainly in terms of the performance, he looked to be okay. Gave up the leadoff home run to Cesar Hernandez in the first, and then really settled down and didn't give up much, maybe a hit or two here or there, but for the most part wasn't in any real trouble. And they will not even check. That's a strike. But there was some medical attention quickly. Pitching coach, trainer went out, looked at him. He said he was okay, threw a couple more pitches, and then his spot came up in a 6-1 game, and he was lifted for a pinch hitter. So hopefully it's nothing serious. If it is any issue at all, we'll try to pass that along to you. There's a 3-2 now to Hoskins, who fouls it back.
Now Kinley into the ball game. I'll tell you what, I know the Marlins are very happy with what they've seen from him. His contract selected by the Marlins from AAA on September 4th, and since arriving, 4 consecutive scoreless appearances. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He's only allowed 1 hit.
Payoff pitch, fouled back again. Well, it's been a little over a calendar year for Rhys Hoskins. He has 49 home runs in 188 career games. Could join Rudy York in 153 games. Gary Sanchez, 161, along with Mark McGuire. Ryan Braun, 171 games. Judge, 174. Ryan Howard, 182 games. And this might be it. No, it's off the top of the wall. And that will be a double for Rhys Hoskins. Point of the story was he was trying to join a very elite list of guys who had 50 home runs within 190 career games. And he just missed one right there.
I sure did. I think he catches it off the end just a bit. Holiday sets up away. It splits the plate probably a little bit more than they wanted it to. It's the top of the padding. I'll tell you what, Paul. Not a whole lot of space there, but I think it was at the third time in this series we've seen that hit. Jose Bautista.
Yep.
A couple of times earlier in this series.
Yep. So that little fence that's above the 334 on the wall, the ball has to go over that.
Right.
And into that flower bed area,
But I mean, that's only about a foot high right there, that little shelf, if we'll call it that, right? That little gate fence area.
Right.
We've seen 3 balls hit that this series.
A couple of fly balls out to center today for Cabrera, who bats with Hoskins at second. Nobody out here in the 6th inning. Waved at and missed, 1-1. So here was Jose Urena. Take a look at that right hand. Like he keeps the hand kind of fingers extended. So we just received word that he was removed for precautionary reasons because of a right hand cramp. So thankfully, doesn't sound to be anything too serious. But the bullpen will try to finish this one off, protect a 5-run lead. And it starts with Kinley. Humpback liner on a hop. It'll be Riddle. And Cabrera is retired.
Join us for Comunidad 305 when we celebrate Miami's diversity on Saturday. Purchase a package to receive an exclusive T-shirt and enjoy post-game entertainment by Giovetta. A tribute to Mark Anthony in the 5th base presented by Corona Light. Purchase tickets at marlins.com/Comunidad 305.
Now it's Carlos Santana. Cut on and missed.
Well, interesting. If you notice, Hoskins still out at second base. That little humpback liner that was kind of hit. Yeah, I'll go ahead and call it a jam shot. Didn't get very far. I mean, it just cleared the infield grass, but Hoskins unable to move up. He is still out at second base.
Elsewhere in the National League East, as you take a look at the distribution of balls in play on the ground for Santana, the Mets have tied things up at Fenway Park. It's 3-3 after 7. And the Washington Nationals have a 5-2 lead now on the Braves as Santana is retired. So Odubel Herrera 0 for 2 today. Just below the zone, 1-0.
I'll tell you what, Kinley's been impressive. Well, he can really drive the ball down in the zone. I think he would be described as a short armor by trade, but you watch that release point, it's just right next to his right ear. Short but over the top.
Hoskins led off the inning with a double. He is still at second base. Kinley trying to work around it. Here's the 1-1. Beats him upstairs. 1-2. Left side, Rojas toward the seats, has room to make the play. And the Marlins strand a leadoff double and lead it by 5. Ends today, back for the final homestand, which starts tomorrow. Nationals and Marlins. Hey, there we were. Just popped in there for a split second. Yeah, we'll be with you for sure. On the air with the Marlins Live pregame show at 6:30. First pitch a little after 7. In case you didn't know who we were.
Is that you and your bobblehead right there?
That was me and my bobblehead.
That's right.
Yeah, they spelled Paul wrong, put Pitbull by accident. Eric Betty and Trevor Richards, the 2 starting pitchers tomorrow night.
Oh man, you're Mr. 419, right?
Something like that. I don't know. I used to be Mr. 860 back in Connecticut.
Listen, you can be anything but 305.
I know, not 305.
I don't think you can claim that anymore.
Clearly not done nearly enough to become Mr. 305.
Yeah. As soon as you start being applauded for your singing capabilities, they'll switch
well,
it.
if that's all it takes. Well, we were in New York, and our stage manager he thought I was singing Ed Sheeran, and he thought I was doing a nice job. So
I think he was just being nice.
He could have been. He's a very nice individual. It's Bobby up there in New York.
Well, the point being is that Pitbull entered our world. I mean, you'd have to enter his,
right,
in order to take back some of your turf.
Yeah, crossover. I'll think about it. JT Riddle to lead things off. Eniel De Los Santos, the new pitcher for the Phillies. And you saw Aaron Altair out in right. Lined into the seats. 0-2. Kyle Bearclaw up in the Marlins bullpen, fresh off a very crisp inning last night.
Yeah, 12 pitches, 8 strikes, 2 strikeouts. He looked like himself. Outstanding performance yesterday's ball game.
There's the 1-2 to Riddle. Kind of sticks the bat out, and that's a base hit up the middle.
It's been one of these days, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
Some oddities that we see. Now, this is not so much just JT picking up a base hit up the middle. A little contact, ball on the ground the entire time. It was just kind of like I was watching JT. He because he was hustling down the line, he was forced to run through the bag.
Right.
So the ball's out in center field, and he's down by the first base umpire. You know what I mean? Like you're thinking, okay, here comes the turn and the read. No. It's been a weird Sunday.
A leadoff seeing eye single for JT Riddle. And now it's Miguel Rojas. A single for Miggy back in the fourth. That was the first hit for Miami after Nick Pivetta had struck out 7 of the first 10 Marlins. Really struck out 7 of the first 9, but before Rojas had the hit.
Oh, so interesting. I thought as I was thinking as JT was running down the line that we were going to be celebrating all the contact that Riddle had made first time through because that's all the contact we had.
That's right.
All of a sudden, the Marlins got out the bats and went to work. And that second time through turned into a laser show.
On the ground to short. 1 and 2.
Let's give you another quick look. This ball on the ground. 3 hops in the hole. Crawford able to center it. Quick flip to Hernandez. Strong throw across. Have to get the double play.
Tell you what, Crawford was like a flamingo over there at shortstop. No wasted motion. Able to throw from 1 foot. And that's about what they needed because they got Miggy by half a step over at first. Starlin Castro, base hit, and a couple of runs scored today. 1 and 1.
Good take. Lay off the splitty.
That is Crawford at short. And that will do it. 7th inning stretch. We check in with the studio. Marlins up 5. broadcast booth. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth with you. Marlins in a good position right now to salvage the last game of this series and hopefully finish off this road trip, which has been a tough one, with a W.
Well, certainly, and you think how this game started. Urania gives up a home run on the first pitch of the ball game, and you're like, oh, here we go again. And I mean, they've been able to recapture the momentum in the ball game. And Pavetta strikes out, 7 through the first time through the lineup, and you're thinking, man, oh man, here we go again. It has been that kind of trip. But Urania towed the line. I mean, right from the first pitch, kept things in check, did what he's done so well over his last 4 starts, gives the Philadelphia Phillies basically nowhere to go, nothing to build off of, and they've been pretty dynamic offensively in this series, and shuts them down. All he's doing is waiting for the offense to get in gear. The offense makes a few adjustments, a couple of base hits the other way, and next thing you know, they're rolling. Big numbers, big innings, and they got themselves a 6-1 lead.
Right. Now, certainly the not great news, and it doesn't sound as bad now that we know what it is, was that Jose Urania left this ball game, but what we have heard since is that precautionary reasons, a hand cramp. So fortunately, it doesn't sound too serious.
Keep your fingers crossed. I mean, certainly what you hope. One thing I learned in the game of baseball is it's all connected, and that's the one thing that always concerns you. If one thing happens, a lot of times it's connected to something else. We hope that's not the case, and cramping is very, very normal, but as good as he has been, you certainly want to continue to see him finish strong. I talked about those numbers and maybe wanting to get that ERA under 4. I mean, he is rolling. It's the best I've seen him in 2 years, in all honesty. He's been as good these last couple of starts.
Yeah, and speaking of finishing strong, that's what the Marlins hope to get out of the next pitcher, and that is Kyle Bearclaw. Of course, we have documented his struggles throughout the course of this season. We've seen him at his best in June, and we have seen him scuffle a lot since, but his last time out, I mean, that's about as good as we've seen him in 2 months.
Well, and the one thing that's, stood up through this entire, story, which is one of great dominance and performance going back to June, and 0.45 batting average against, to the struggles that he's gone through July and August, this mere point remains. He didn't lose his velocity. He didn't lose his stuff. He didn't lose the ability to pitch more effectively, and I think it's just kind of getting that confidence back, believing in what you're doing once again, will hopefully turn better results for him over the next couple of weeks.
There's a strike to J.P. Crawford. It's Crawford, Alfaro, and then the pitcher spot for the Phillies. Now check that. They made a double switch. It'll be Aaron Altair up third this inning. 1-2 to Crawford, who had a single back in the 4th.
Claw yesterday, 12 pitches, 8 strikes, 2 strikeouts. Had 1-2.
And hits Crawford on the breaking ball. So a leadoff base runner for the Phillies here in the 7th inning. T-Mobile is built for baseball. Off to the Trop, C.J. Cron knew it as soon as he hit it. A 2-run home run to deep left field. My goodness. That ball was hit a ton.
That's Osuna territory.
Christian Adames with a home run as well. So a solo home run there, as the Tampa Bay Rays doing their best to cool off the Oakland A's. They have a 5-0 lead at the moment. That was a Willie Adames home run, excuse me. Cron's 27th and Willie Adames' 9th home run of the season. But it's 5-0 there. Oakland has certainly been rolling as of late. Today's the rubber match of the series. Just to go back, last 25 series, Oakland 22-3. So 20 series wins, 2 series losses, and 3 splits. So today could be, if that score holds, just the 3rd time in the last 25 series that Oakland doesn't win one. That's how good Oakland's been. Still looking up at the Yankees in terms of that second wild card. Yankees up 2-1. In fact, trailing 3-2 as they go back and forth in the Bronx right now. Ball and 2 strikes to Alfaro. Strikeout for Bear Claw, 1 away.
In dominant fashion. Started out at the top of the zone. Able to work back away and pick up the strikeout.
Four hits today for the Phillies, and Hoskins has 2 of them. Just missed his 50th career home run off the top of the wall in left, but was stranded at second base back in the 6th. Here's Altair. 4 for 8, couple of home runs in the series. 4 of those hits came on Friday night. Ball 1. There's a strike.
And what we've seen over the last couple of days from Kyle, better fastball command. That slider at times can be a little bit erratic, but the one thing you think back to June, we talked about this an awful lot. I mean, it was the pitches per inning. I mean, he was making quick work of hitters. And that's because of the fastball command. It opened up the opportunity to throw the changeup more. Obviously his slider, but you've got to be in pitchers counts. You've got to be ahead of hitters in order to start throwing those pitches more regularly. When he falls behind, what we've seen basically in the 6 weeks since, that fastball command not there. Pitches per inning up to 24, so almost double that month of June.
Altair went around 2-2. You look up at the scoreboard and you see Altair's hitting 182 with 8 homers on the season. You say, well, this guy should be an easy out. Well, that has not been the case at all this year for the Marlins against Altair, who fouls this one into the seats. 10 for 33, 3 home runs against Miami this year. 161, 5 homers and 27 RBIs against everybody else. So the Marlins have seen Altair at his best in 2018.
He's got some ridiculous splits as well. Batting average with runners in scoring position on the season's at .306. Not that that's this situation, but generally.
That's a fair ball down the left field line. It's going to get all the way to the corner. And being held at third is Crawford. Probably a good decision from a Phillies standpoint. And now 2 in scoring position, 1 out.
Well, he gets a fastball inner third, maybe even off the inside corner, but pulls the hands through and lines it past third. Gets himself a stand-up double, 5th hit in the series. Really no thought of sending Crawford. It's not that he couldn't have maybe scored, but when you're chasing 5, you certainly don't want to be making outs on the bases. That's why he's held at third.
So now it's Roman Quinn. Ball 1. Quinn reached on an error and struck out today. To Riddle at short, who goes to third and doesn't get an out. It wasn't a forced play at third, and didn't really give Rojas an awful lot of time to apply the tag.
Yeah, well, the pre-pitch ideas on this one were not in line, not where they needed to be. Riddle charges after this. He thinks he's got to play at third base, but you've got to know that there's no force. In fact, if you're going to go in that direction, that's got to be a strong, firm throw to third. It's not that he couldn't get the out at third base. It's just that the effort behind it doesn't allow Rojas to make a play. It's not a force. He just flips the ball to third base. You've got no shot at getting him. And so that's not going to work, and it's giving these Philadelphia Phillies extra outs, extra opportunity. A 6-2 ball game. They got a hot hitter in the box who's already homered in back-to-back games.
Close play at first, but Quinn is back. So now first and third, one out for Cesar Hernandez, with Hoskins and then Cabrera Santana due up. Hopefully it doesn't get that far, of course, but a big part of this Phillies order is up. Runner goes, and Holiday did a nice job picking that one out of the dirt. No throw as Quinn takes second.
Yeah, that was a bit expected. Quinn's speed certainly was going to be used. They weren't going to sit around and wait for a ball on the ground and give the Marlins an opportunity to get out of this inning.
There's a strike.
Steck's up in the bullpen.
Now, he has typically been the 9th inning guy the last few weeks. But
well, the 9th inning might be the 7th inning of this ballgame.
Yeah, I was going to say the road wins have been few and far between in the second half for the Marlins. You've got a 6-1 and now 6-2 lead. Cannot let this one get away. Marlins have lost 21 of 24 on the road. To left for Dean. And Altair thought about it, but bluffed. Didn't test the arm of Dean, and there are two away.
Well, just not deep enough. Get the job done.
That's a big out, number 2. Of course, doesn't get any easier with Rhys Hoskins coming to the plate. 2 hits today for Hoskins. Little low, a ball and no strikes. With the 2 hits today, Hoskins is 12 for his last 34. Altair at third and Quinn the runner at second. 2 balls and no strikes. Certainly want to be careful with Hoskins, but as Drupal Cabrera has been a thorn in the Marlins side this year, and he waits on deck.
Yeah, you could argue he's probably been more of a thorn than Hoskins this season.
Pitch for Bear Claw will be number 25 in the inning. Trying to get out of this with just the 1 run allowed. And out to the mound goes Holiday to make sure that he and Bear Claw are on the same page with a big pitch coming up.
You'd really like to put this to rest here in the bottom of the 7th. This is basically the extent of the Philadelphia Phillies' momentum in this ball game. Urania and Kinley.
Got him. Called strike 3. Froze Hoskins and strands 2. Not an easy inning, but still a 4-run lead.
That
Back here at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Last stop on this road trip. Last of this 3-game series. And last time we'll see the Phillies in 2018. Trying to get out of here with a win. 6-2 rather, a 4-run lead. As we go to the top of the 8th inning. Daniel De Los Santos in his 2nd inning of work will face Derek Dietrich. And then Peter O'Brien and Lewis Brinson for the Marlins. Single last time up for Dietrich. Came around to score a run. And on a hop back to the mound. 1 away.
Dietrich's base hit last inning really set everything up. Hit and run with Starlin Castro.
The Coors Light refreshing finish is when the Marlins took the lead in this ball game. They had really struggled to get anything going against Pivetta, and then that 2-run home run gave them a 2-1 lead.
Right. I mean, it kind of maybe, well, in a weird sort of way, speaks to the tempo of this game and just kind of a lot of weird things that have been happening. What, 60 seconds of miscommunication between Alfaro and Pivetta, who was in an absolute groove up until that point. Yeah, he was flashing signs, he was shaking his head, he stepped out. I mean, it went on for a good 60 seconds. The next pitch he throws, this game has been a Marlins lead ever since.
Yeah, Pivetta had struck out 8 of the first 13 batters faced. And O'Brien was number 14. And you're right. They were going back and forth. Pivetta and Alfaro shaking off, stepping off, shaking off, stepping off 3 times. Next pitch, 2-run home.
Well, I mean, you can speak to the rhythm that the two of them were in. I mean, we saw it early on. Alfaro was calling a lot of breaking balls. Everything was working. He was putting the ball where he wanted. I mean, again, I'm not really kidding when I say that we mentioned that JT Real had actually made contact. He'd been the only hitter that had made contact the first time through the lineup. That's how good Pivetta was. And then what ends up happening is a little miscommunication. Couldn't get on the same page. Next thing you know, a misplaced fastball, and look out, here come the Marlins.
Oh, but then the next time O'Brien came up. Well, now that's a whole other ball of wax.
That's right. I didn't feel the need to go there. Pivetta was out of the game.
And that is inside for a ball, 3-2. So O'Brien flew out to right field. There's been a change in the scoring. It's not to say there won't be another one later, but he's been credited with a sac fly. And
How
then
so?
Because I don't know, he just struck out right there, but because of the play in the outfield, this was the play. So O'Brien's at the plate. Last I heard was a sac fly. Now that was from the public address announcer in the press box. Overheard it through the microphone. He passed Dietrich, so he's out on a ball that wasn't caught in right center field.
Well, then he didn't pass Dietrich if it's a caught ball.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I heard last, knowing that there could be another change.
Well,
because initially we had fielder's choice out 9-6 RBI.
I got you. Herrera never caught the ball. Never caught the ball. We know that already. How's that a sac fly?
So then they cross paths with each other, and then automatically the base runner, the batter runner, that is, in this case O'Brien, is out. Brinson on the ground to short. That's Crawford. And that is a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 8th on the way.
Of the 8th. The final homestand will kick off tomorrow, and the organization wants to say thank you to all of the fans. So they have a ton of great events scheduled on Thursday. It's a throwback Thursday, a bobblehead giveaway, social media night. Friday, you're going to have an opportunity to meet Marlins players. There will also be a cool memorabilia sale on Saturday, complimentary food, fireworks, retail sales at Marlins team stores, and on Sunday, Marlins swag bag giveaway. And Marlins players are going to hand the jerseys off of their backs to Marlins members. And on top of that, all fans will be allowed to run the bases, not just for the kiddos that day. For full details, visit marlins.com. Guys.
Thanks so much, Jessica. Appreciate that. Looking forward to a fun last homestand 2 with the Nationals, a day off, and then 4 with the Cincinnati Reds before the last road trip of the year. Drew Steckenrider against Asdrubal Cabrera to lead things off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. An inning for Bearclaw. Did give up a run, couple of strikeouts.
Tell you, that was one of the best changeups I've seen from Bearclaw to end last inning against Hoskins. It completely locked him up. No chance of even fouling it off. Good arm side run down in the zone, 89 miles an hour. Steckenrider pitching for the second time in this series. Pitched an inning yesterday. Clean inning, 1 inning, no hits, no walks, no strikeouts.
Some defensive changes for the Marlins. Lots of them, actually. New left fielder is Isaac Galloway. Right fielder Sierra. Yadiel Rivera over at third, but playing on the second base side because of the shift. And Miguel Rojas has moved over to first. And Cabrera strikes out for the first out here in the 8th.
MLB at Bat is your #1 Marlins app. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Marlins home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV, Game of the Day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Carlos Santana swings at the first pitch, pops it up, shallow left, long run in for Galloway, who makes the catch and had to hurdle Riddle to make the play.
Yeah, welcome to the ball game, and then you get to do the up and over. That's right. That's what you call this one. He stays high, makes the catch, and then you jump over JT Riddle, who's doing a barrel roll. Well done. They'll be in Miami next week. Come to Marlins Park and see more. Yeah, calling it all the way. It's the communication. JT's able to get out of the way and get into that position. It's as simple as that. It's what you want to see. Look at JT smiling.
Now it's Andrew Knapp.
Knapp 5 for 29 on the season. Pinch hitting, does have a home run.
This was the pitcher spot after a previous double switch. There's a ball, 1-1. It had been Odubel Herrera, who was 0 for 3 today. But now Knapp takes the at bat in the 8th with the Marlins up by 4. Two and two. Fourth stint with the club this year for Knapp. Had been splitting time with Alfaro, and then of course they added Wilson Ramos right at the deadline. And Knapp in the air, center field. Brinson drifting back to the track in front of the wall makes the catch, and a 1-2-3 8th inning. 6-2 going to the 9th. West, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. One last look here at Philadelphia. Last trip through the city of brotherly love in 2018. Marlins trying to get out of town with a W as we go to the 9th inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you. A 6-2 lead. Looking for more against Adam Morgan in his 61st game this season. The 4th pitcher of the day for the Phillies.
Yeah, Morgan 4.15 ERA on the season. Fastball curve, slider change.
It's Magnori's Sierra to lead things off. Bunts, pulls back and takes ball 1. There's your strike, 1-1.
Well, this is Morgan's 8th game versus the Marlins in 2018. 1.69 ERA.
Phillies looking up at the Braves, of course, in the National League East. Braves are down 5-2 against the Nationals right now. That game in the 8th inning. Of course, Nats in for 2 on Monday and Tuesday at Marlins Park. So the Nationals doing their best to upset the National League East plans, but also maybe keep themselves alive. They check at 3rd. Jim Wolf says no swing. 3-2 to Sierra. So if the scores hold in Atlanta and here, as Conley's getting ready perhaps for the 9th, then it will remain the 6.5 game deficit the Phillies currently hold with both games in progress. Now in terms of the National League Central, the Cubs have a 2.5 game lead on the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee is trailing the Pirates 2-0 as Sierra works the leadoff walk.
I'm telling you, those Pirates, man, they're nasty. They've beaten up the Central all season long. Nobody can beat them.
And they're chasing down the Cubs. The Brewers are. Cubs trailing 2-1 in the 7th inning. And then there's the West.
Well, nice day for Holiday. A couple of doubles that average up over 200, 216.
He's had an eventful series, too. Pitched the other night. He's pitched twice.
That's the only thing that hasn't gone well for him.
You're right. You're right.
I was talking to him about it yesterday. I said, Holly, I think that your teammates think that it's their turn now to pitch because you got knocked around. He's like, I think you're right. Guys were throwing their knuckleballs and curveballs during stretch or after stretch, getting loose before batting practice. He was kind of looking around. A couple of guys down on the ground doing some catching and messing around as they usually do, as they should.
Would you pitch?
Oh, absolutely. I'd pitch right now if I could.
Had you ever pitched in a
No, I wanted
game,
to,
right?
but nobody would ever. Again, another thing that's transitioned into an absolutely you can do it now that you couldn't do back in the day. Like there was like one guy per team that was even given the thought of stepping on the mound, and it was maybe a utility guy.
Right.
Now, like if you raise your hand high enough, they're like, oh sure, okay, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, the big thing was, oh no, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to damage your arm, you're going to do something crazy, and we're just no, we're not doing that. Now it's okay. You do it now.
Remember a couple of years ago in Boston. Chris Davis of the Orioles pitched 2 innings, and he got a win.
Right. See, again, another one of those things that I'm so happy has changed over the years.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not condoning some of the stuff that we've seen this year. A couple of instances where.
And Sierra's going to get second. Morgan a balk.
I'll tell you what, if the umpires didn't call it, I think they would have to take on the entire Marlins dugout. They called it. I heard all 30 of them. It's pretty quiet here at Citizens Bank Ballpark right now. There you go. Entire team may have stormed the field. What are you talking about? I mean, that's where your argument would have been. Don Mattingly and the entire team.
Still 3-2 to Holiday.
Well, Sierra, certainly an important run. This game has a different feel, I think, in part because of the crowd and maybe the warm temperatures today. We, like I said, seen some oddities. It's still only a 4-run ball game. Marlins looking to add on.
Shadows continue to creep in between home plate and the pitcher's mound. As we get deeper into the afternoon here in Philadelphia, Holiday with a fly ball left field, long run for Crawford, and it's going to be Hoskins to make the catch. Sierra able to hustle back to second base. This is Isaac Galloway. It's Adam Conley. Looks to be ready to go. He's had quite some time to warm up this half inning. Hasn't exactly been a brisk pace in this top of the ninth. Outside to Galloway, 1-0. Five of Galloway's 11 career hits have gone for extra bases. So certainly not a ton of opportunity this year, but he's trying his best to make the most of it. He's been asked to be a defensive replacement late in games. Has played a very solid outfield.
He's done everything that he's been asked to do, and I think that's going to sit well with his manager. He is looking to finish up strong.
Out to center. Roman Quinn underneath it makes the catch, and Sierra will stay put at second. 2 away.
Yeah, I say that with 2019 spring training in mind, if that's where it so takes him. Handled himself very, very well. JT, a base hit his last time up. That was like a traditional seeing eye single. We don't see very many of those anymore. Right? I mean, we'll see the seeing eye single, but it's usually through like where the shortstop normally stands. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like with all the shifting that I mean, it was about as traditional as anything you see.
It had to take 12 hops.
Right.
Oh, 0-1. All in all, a pretty solid road trip for Riddle at the plate. Right now 1 for 4 today. 7 for 21. on the road trip, 0-2. And his first 2 double game of the season last night. Got on and missed for strike 3. And this one moves to the bottom of the 9th inning. Adam Conley getting set to face the Phils. Jessica Blaylock, Marlins trying to get out of town with a W. They've got a 4-run lead as Adam Conley is going to try to finish things off. His 48th game this season. Opponents hitting a little more than 200 against him. And he is the guy standing in between the Marlins and a road victory today.
.203 opponent's batting average against. Right man for the job. We'll see how the Phillies treat this. I mean, you look at the top of the lineup, a couple of lefties up there, but I see Batista already in the on-deck circle. And Wilson Ramos has joined him as well. All right, he's hitting .212 against Conley on the season. It's been good. First appearance here in Philadelphia. Did make 2 in New York. 3 innings of work, 3 strikeouts, no walks. He was good. Got good numbers against the Philadelphia Phillies in his career. This will be his 13th game. Of course, much of Conley's numbers, especially in the National League East, inflated because he was a starter. Racked up some strong numbers against them. 194 ERA and over 41 innings of work.
So it's Bautista to lead things off. Homers, 45 RBIs for Bautista this year.
Well, just 3 for 19 pinch hitting. It's a 158 average, 1 for 7 with the Philadelphia Phillies. Most of the work he's done, most of the damage this season has been as a starter.
Bautista squared to bunt and takes a strike. 2-1. Fly ball, shallow left. Castro is back, but it'll be Galloway for out number 1.
Yeah, that was a pretty good look at priority right there. I think Riddle called it first, Castro called him off, and then Galloway called everybody off, and gets the first out in the inning. A little pop-up priority.
So it's Ramos to take the at-bat. 15 homers, 67 RBIs.
He's had a nice season. Day game after a night game. Alfaro started today's game. Ramos 2 for 5, pinch hitting, 2 for 4 with the Phillies. Well, he's hit well for him.
And shade under 400 since being brought over from the Rays. And 3 hits in 8 at-bats against Conley in his career, as the bat and ball both go flying into the netting behind home plate.
Yeah, it's the second time in this series that's happened to Ramos. Tried taking out Dan Straley a couple days ago.
Two of the 3 hits that Ramos has against Conley have been home runs, 2 solo homers. The 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed for strike 3, and there are 2 away in the 9th.
Well, Conley does a nice job of staying away, away, away. That's what you want to see, protecting that 4-run lead.
WB Mason, Marlins Live postgame show. Craig, Tommy, Gabby, Peter O'Brien, a big day, a home run. And we'll hear from Don Mattingly as well. O'Brien's home run turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead. And the Marlins now 1 out away from a win, as Aaron Altair takes a called strike. This is Altair's second plate appearance. He doubled back in the 7th.
Yeah, every now and again you run across a game like today. I think in both clubhouses after this game, the Pivetta fastball to O'Brien may be the most talked about pitch, as the game just seemingly did a complete 180 from that moment on.
I mean, he was locked in.
Right. I mean, like I said, we were talking about Riddle and contact, because that's all there was. 7 strikeouts, first time through the lineup for Pivetta. He makes the turn back around. Now, of course, you had a Rojas base hit, which kind of set that up, and it was a great at bat. But the point being, a lot of communication before the fastball was actually thrown that was hit out to O'Brien between Alfaro and Pivetta. But since that point, Marlins in complete control.
And another base hit for Altair. This one's going to roll to the wall. It will be his second double of the day. Man, what a series Altair has had.
Yeah, making up for lost time, if you ask me. Remember, at the beginning of the season, Altair was their go-to answer in right field. Played himself out of the starts, but you're right. Here in this series against the Marlins, boy, oh boy, has he really been swinging it. 4 hits in game 1, a couple of home runs, a couple of hits today, a couple of doubles.
So now it's Quinn. Up the middle, and that gets by Riddle. And in to score is Altair. An RBI for Quinn. And it's 6-3.
Well, let's take another look. Well, what you're hoping, maybe Riddle can keep the ball on the infield. Keep Altair from scoring, but as it makes its way into center field, that certainly brings him around. Now Quinn on at first. You want to put this to rest right here. Certainly do not want to see tying run in the box.
Cesar Hernandez led off the ball game with a home run against Jose Urena, the only run that he issued or allowed rather today. Left the game for cautionary reasons, a right hand cramp. Score holds, might use that right hand to shake Peter O'Brien's hand. And 5 hits on this road trip. Runner goes, no throw. And Quinn into second base with a defensive indifference. Tipped into the glove of Holiday, 2-1. Poke foul, and the Marlins are a strike away from wrapping up this series with a win. But Rhys Hoskins looms on deck. If Conley can't retire Hernandez. And that gets by Castro and into right field. Quinn doesn't stop around third. It's 6-4.
Well, the scenario you most wanted to avoid is now actually going to happen in the form of Rhys Hoskins representing the tying run in the box. Yeah, this ball hit hard. It's still a play that should be made. One step, and it runs right up the glove. Starlin Castro and into right field.
The 12th error this year for Starlin Castro, and it extends this game. Brings Hoskins to the plate. Hoskins a single in the third, a double in the sixth. Ball one. And the Phillies have squared up Conley in this inning. 109 off the bat on the Altair double. The Quinn single was 107, and that error 100.
Well, in a weird sort of way, this is ideally the matchup you're working towards. Most people probably don't assume this of Rhys Hoskins. But 28 of his 31 home runs have come against right-handed pitching this year. In fact, he has struggled mightily against lefties, only a .203 batting average on the season.
Outside, Hernandez takes second on defensive indifference. In the dirt, squirts away from Holiday, but no advance.
Drupal Cabrera on deck for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Can I tell you something?
What do you got?
I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him at the plate.
I want the numbers to play out. I want Conley to come back and put this game to bed.
As do I. 3-1. Strike.
Talking about bringing it. My goodness. 96 miles an hour. Inner third. Strike 2.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. It's a Marlins win as Conley strikes out Hoskins as the tying run in the 9th inning. And the Marlins wrap up this road trip with a 6-4 victory.
Well, it wasn't easy, but they hung in there. They fought. They continued to compete. Nice job by Urania today. First pitch of the ball game left the yard. He settled in, kept it right there, and Marlins offense came to life.
Well, what was a weird game turns into a nail-biter, but the Marlins get the win. We'll hear from Peter O'Brien on the other side of the break.